Every toast skipped my name. Dad praised Sarah James and Derek for years. I left Christmas dinner, moved away, built a $2.8 billion company. When my interview went viral, 47 calls came in. Family wants you back. The toast always happened between the turkey and the pie. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every Easter, every family gathering where more than 10 people showed up. My father would stand at the head of the table with his glass raised and say the same thing. Let's take a moment to celebrate our successful children. Then he would look at my sister Sarah. Sarah, partner at Henderson & Associates at 32. We are so proud. Everyone would clap. Sarah would smile modestly and wave it off like it was nothing. Then Dad would turn to my brother James. And James, regional director at Apex Financial, the youngest in company history. More applause. James would nod and say something about hard work and great teams. Then Dad's eyes would sweep past me, literally past me like I was part of the furniture, and land on my cousin Derek. And Derek just promoted to senior analyst at Morrison Tech. The Morrison name is making waves. Cheers. Toast. Everyone drank. And me, I would be sitting there with my glass raised, smiling, waiting for my name. It never came. The first time it happened, I thought it was an oversight. It was Thanksgiving. I was 23, fresh out of college, working my first IT job. It was not glamorous, but it was a start. When Dad finished the toast without mentioning me, I figured he had just forgotten. People forget things. It happens. The second time at Christmas, I thought maybe he did not consider my job worth mentioning. Maybe I needed to accomplish more first. The third time, I realized it was intentional. By the 10th time, I stopped expecting anything different. And it was not just the toasts, it was everything. At family dinners, conversations always centered around Sarah's cases, James's deals, and Derek's projects. When someone asked me about work, I would start to answer, and someone would interrupt with a question for Sarah. Or Mom would suddenly remember something she needed to tell James. Or Dad would launch into a story about Derek. I would trail off mid-sentence. Nobody noticed. I tried different approaches. I tried to make myself more visible. When I got promoted to senior developer at 25, I mentioned it at Easter dinner. "That's nice, sweetie," Mom said. Then she immediately turned to Sarah. "Speaking of work, tell everyone about the Harrison case." When I bought my first car at 26, a used Honda, nothing fancy but something I had saved for myself, I drove it to a family barbecue. "Good for you," Dad said, patting my shoulder. Then he turned to James. "Hey, did you end up leasing that BMW?" They spent the next 20 minutes discussing James's luxury car lease. Nobody asked me anything about mine. When I got a significant raise at 27 and moved into a better apartment, I mentioned it at Thanksgiving. "Mm-hmm," Mom said, not even looking up from her phone. Then she looked across the table. "James, did you tell everyone about your bonus?" I stopped trying after that. I showed up to gatherings, I smiled, I nodded, I sat quietly while everyone else's lives were dissected, celebrated, and analyzed. I was there, physically present, but invisible in every way that mattered. The worst part was that nobody seemed to notice they were doing it. Or maybe they noticed and simply did not care. When I was 29, my birthday fell 2 days before Thanksgiving. That year, I thought maybe, just maybe, someone would mention it at dinner. We were all there, the whole family. It was the perfect opportunity. Dad stood for the toast. "Let's celebrate our successful children. Sarah just made junior partner. James closed a $15 million deal. Derek got engaged to a wonderful woman." Then he sat down. I sat there 2 days after my birthday without a single mention. After dinner, I helped Mom clean up. We were alone in the kitchen. "Mom," I said carefully, "did you know my birthday was Tuesday?" She looked up from the dishes. "Oh, was it? I'm sorry, honey. Things have been so busy. We'll do something next week." We never did. That was when something shifted inside me. I started paying attention to the patterns I had been unconsciously absorbing for years. There was a family group chat. 847 messages in 3 months. I scrolled through them. Sarah's promotion had 67 messages of congratulations. James's new house had 43 messages. Derek's engagement had 89 messages. My promotion to lead developer 6 months earlier had 3 messages. One from my aunt, congrats. One from my cousin, nice. And one from my mom. 3 messages. Christmas rolled around. I was 30. I had been working in tech for 8 years, steadily climbing, making decent money and building a life. Dad stood for the toast. Our successful children. Sarah, youngest junior partner in firm history. James just got headhunted by Goldman Sachs. Derek, wedding planning is going great. I set my glass down without drinking. Mom noticed. Michael, aren't you going to toast? To what? I asked quietly. To family. To success. Whose success? She looked confused. All of you kids. I looked around the table. Sarah, James, and Derek were all looking at their phones, basking in the praise they had just received. My aunts and uncles were making small talk. My grandparents were smiling quietly. I got promoted to lead developer in June, I said. I'm managing a team of 12 people. I'm making 6 figures. I bought a condo in August. Silence. Everyone was looking at me now. That's wonderful, honey, Mom said. Why didn't you tell us? I did, in the family chat, in June, and again in August. More silence. Well, Dad said, clearing his throat, that's great, son. We're proud. Are you? Of course we are. Then why have I never been included in the toast? Dad's face reddened. That's not true. It is true. Every single toast. Sarah, James, Derek, never Mike. Not once. You're being dramatic, Sarah said, not looking up from her phone. Am I? When's my birthday? Silence. Anyone, I looked around the table. What day was I born? Michael, this isn't appropriate, Mom started. March 15th, my grandmother said quietly. Everyone looked at her. His birthday is March 15th, she said, and it was his 30th this year. Nobody mentioned it. The silence was deafening. We've been busy, Dad started. For 8 years, I stood up. You've been too busy to include me in one toast. Too busy to remember one birthday. Too busy to respond to messages in the family chat. You're overreacting, James said. You're just jealous because… Because what? Because I'm not a lawyer? Because I'm not a finance guy? Because I'm not getting married? I felt something break loose inside me. I've been sitting at this table for years, watching you all celebrate each other, waiting for someone to see me. And nobody does. Nobody ever has. That's not fair, Mom said, tears filling her eyes. We love you. You love having me here. You love having the family complete for photos. But you don't love me enough to remember my birthday. You don't love me enough to include me in a toast. You don't love me enough to ask about my life. I grabbed my jacket from the back of my chair. Where are you going? Dad asked. Home. To my condo that none of you have ever asked to see. To my job that none of you know anything about. To my life that I've apparently been living alone this whole time. Michael, sit down, Mom said. Let's talk about this. We just did. You can't even tell me what I do for a living, can you? Silence. That's what I thought. I walked to the door. Merry Christmas. Then I left. Nobody followed me. I drove home to my condo, sat in the dark, and made a decision. I was done. Done showing up just to be invisible. Done waiting for acknowledgement that would never come. Done being the person they forgot about. I opened my phone, found the family group chat, and looked at the 847 messages. Hundreds of congratulations for everyone else. 3 responses to my life updates. Then I left the chat. Nobody noticed for 3 weeks. When they finally did, nobody asked why. New Year's came and went. No invitation to family dinner. No "we miss you" text. Nothing. Fine. I had been practically absent for years anyway. Now it was just official. In February, I got a job offer. Senior engineering manager at a startup in San Francisco. Triple my salary. Equity package. A chance to build something from the ground up. I took it. I sold my condo, packed my car, and drove across the country to a city where nobody knew me, and nobody had expectations. I did not tell my family I was moving. I did not announce it. I just went. 3 months later, my mom called. Michael, where have you been? You missed Easter. I moved to San Francisco. You, what? I moved in February. New job. Why didn't you tell us? I did, in the family chat before I left. Silence. She was probably checking her phone, scrolling back through messages she had never read. Oh, she said quietly. Yeah, well, when are you visiting? I'm not. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not coming back for visits. I'm building a life here. But family? You're not my family, Mom. You're people I'm related to. There's a difference. I hung up. She called back twice. I did not answer. That was 5 years ago. 5 years of building a life without them. No family dinners where I was forgotten. No toasts that skipped my name. No group chats where my messages vanished into the void. Just me, my work, and a future I was building entirely on my own terms. I did not know they had forgotten about me so completely that they would miss what came next. But they would. They all would. San Francisco was exactly what I needed. A place where nobody knew me, nobody had expectations, and success was measured by what you built, not by what your family thought of you. The startup was called NextGen Analytics. When I joined, it was 3 people in a cramped office, the founder, 1 other engineer, and me. We were building AI-powered data analytics software for enterprise clients. It was the kind of thing that sounded boring on the surface but solved real problems for big companies. I threw myself into work, 70-hour weeks, nights, weekends, not because I had to, but because I finally had something that was mine, something where my contributions mattered, somewhere people noticed when I solved problems. 6 months in, the founder called me into his office. Mike, I'm promoting you to VP of Engineering. I stared at him. We have 5 employees. 6 now, he said, and we're about to hire 20 more. I need someone to build and lead the engineering team. That's you. There was no family to tell, no group chat to post in, just me and a title that meant something. We grew fast. The software worked. Companies needed it. We landed our first major client, a Fortune 500 manufacturing company, then another, then 5 more. 2 years in, we raised a Series A, $15 million. I owned 8% of the company. I was a millionaire on paper. Nobody from my past life knew. Year 3, we hit $10 million in revenue. We hired 50 more people. I was managing a team of 30 engineers building features that companies were paying 6 figures annually to use. I got good at it. Really good. Not just the technical side, the leadership, the vision, the ability to see what companies needed before they even knew they needed it. We raised a Series B, $45 million. My equity was now worth $8 million. I bought a house in Palo Alto. It was a nice place, nothing ostentatious, but it was mine. Earned through work that people actually valued. Year 4 revenue hit $50 million. We were growing 300% year over year. Companies were begging to use our software. One day, the founder pulled me aside. Mike, I'm stepping back. I'm taking a chairman role. I want you to be CEO. What? You've been running this company alongside me for 3 years. You know it better than anyone. The board agrees. If you want it, it's yours. I became CEO at 34. CEO of a company worth $120 million. Still, no contact with my family. I changed my number after the 2nd year. I deleted social media. They probably thought I had disappeared into obscurity. Year 5 was when everything exploded. We landed contracts with 3 of the top 10 Fortune 500 companies. Revenue was projected to hit $100 million. We started acquisition talks with 2 competitors. Then came the Series C, $80 million raised at a $200 million valuation. My equity was now worth $28 million. The tech press noticed. TechCrunch ran a feature. NextGen Analytics, the AI company you haven't heard of that's revolutionizing enterprise data. Then Forbes called. We're doing a 30 under 40 list for tech founders and CEOs. You're on it. I did the interview. I talked about building the company, the technology, and the vision. They asked about my background. I came from a small town in Ohio, I said. I worked in tech for a few years, then moved to San Francisco and helped build this company from 3 people to 200. They did not ask about family. I did not mention them. The Forbes article went live in March. It got some attention in tech circles, but nothing crazy. Then Bloomberg called. We're doing a segment on AI companies disrupting traditional industries. Can we interview you? The interview was scheduled for late April. I thought it would be a small thing. 10 minutes on Bloomberg technology, maybe a few thousand views. I was wrong. The interview was with Emily Chang, their main tech anchor. We talked for 30 minutes about the company, the technology, and the market opportunity. She asked smart questions. I gave detailed answers. Then she asked, "What drove you to build this? What's the origin story?" I thought about it, and I decided to be honest. I spent a lot of my early career feeling invisible, I said. Working hard, achieving things, but never feeling seen or valued. When I came to San Francisco, I wanted to build something that couldn't be ignored. Something where the work spoke for itself. Invisible, how? She asked. Just overlooked. You know how sometimes you can be in a room full of people and still feel completely alone? That's what my 20s felt like. So I decided to build something that made invisibility impossible. She nodded. And now you're running a company valued at $200 million. I'd say that's pretty visible. I laughed. Yeah, I guess it is. The interview aired on a Tuesday evening. I did not think much of it. I did my work, went home, and made dinner. Wednesday morning, my assistant knocked on my office door. "Mike, you're trending on Twitter." "What?" She showed me her phone. Invisible No More was trending. People were clipping the part of the interview where I talked about feeling overlooked and sharing their own stories. By Wednesday afternoon, the interview had 2 million views. By Thursday, it was at 5 million. News outlets started picking it up. Bloomberg CEO opens up about feeling invisible before building $200 million company. Tech founder's story resonates with millions who feel overlooked. People magazine called. "We'd like to do a feature." Good Morning America reached out. "Can you come on the show?" I said yes to both. The Good Morning America appearance was Friday, 5 days after the Bloomberg interview aired. They wanted the angle of going from feeling invisible to running a major company. So I talked about working hard and not being seen, about building something from scratch, about proving, mostly to myself, that I mattered. "Do you feel visible now?" the host asked. "I feel valued," I said. "Which is better?" That segment got 15 million views in 2 days. My phone, the new number nobody from my old life, had started getting messages from people I had gone to college with. "Dude, I just saw you on GMA. Is that really you on Bloomberg?" The company website crashed from traffic. Our sales team was flooded with inquiries. And somewhere in Ohio, my brother James was sitting at his desk when his boss walked over. I did not know this yet. I would not know for another few hours. But James was working, probably reviewing some financial reports, when his boss stopped by his cubicle. "Hey James," his boss said casually. "I saw your last name on your ID badge the other day. Morrison, right?" "Yeah," James said, not looking up from his screen. "Any chance you're related to Mike Morrison?" James's hands froze on the keyboard. "Who?" "Mike Morrison. The Mike Morrison. The guy from that Bloomberg interview this week. The one everyone's talking about. CEO of NextGen Analytics." James's stomach dropped. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and typed my name into Google. Michael Morrison, NextGen Analytics. The first result was my Bloomberg interview. 2 million views. The second result was Forbes, a 30 under 40 profile with a photo of me in a suit I had bought the year before. The third result was a TechCrunch feature with the headline, "How Mike Morrison Built a $200 million Company in 5 Years." The fourth result was the Good Morning America segment from that morning. His boss stood there waiting for an answer. James scrolled through article after article, his face going progressively wider. CEO, $200 million valuation, featured in Forbes, Bloomberg, and Good Morning America. His little brother. The one they had forgotten to toast. The one whose messages had gone unread. The one who disappeared 5 years ago. James, his boss, prompted, "You okay? Do you know him?" James looked up from his phone, mouth dry. That's my brother." "Your brother? Why didn't you say anything?" "That's incredible." We use NextGen at the company level, CEO mandate from last year. That's your brother's software? That was when James realized, with dawning horror, that yes, the company he worked for, Apex Financial, where he was a regional director, had indeed rolled out NextGen Analytics the year before. He had used it almost daily. He had logged into software his brother had built, and he had never known. We're not really in touch, James managed. Oh, that's too bad. Well, hey, if you ever reconnect, tell him we love the product. It changed how our whole analytics team works. His boss walked away. James sat there staring at his phone, at my face on his screen. Professional photos, interviews, articles calling me one of the most innovative tech CEOs under 40. His phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. James, call me now. Then one from Derek. Have you seen this? Then one from Mom. Is this your brother? Then one from Dad. Call me immediately. His phone started ringing. Dad calling. Then Sarah on the other line. Then Mom. Then Derek. James's hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold the phone. He stepped outside and called Dad back. Did you know about this? Dad's voice was sharp. About what? About Michael. About his company. About him being on television. I just found out. My boss just asked if I was related to him. Your boss knows about him? Who else knows? Dad, it's all over the news. Bloomberg, Good Morning America, everywhere. He's running a company worth $200 million. Silence. $200 million. Dad repeated quietly. Yeah, and we had no idea. No. More silence. He never told us, Dad said. He tried to tell us for years. We just never listened. James heard his father's breath catch. The family group chat. Dad said, Is he still in it? I don't know. I haven't checked. Check. James opened the chat, scrolled through months of messages, and saw my name missing from the member list. He left, James said. Years ago, probably. I never noticed. Find his number. We need to call him. Dad, I don't have his number. He changed it. Then find it. Contact the company. Something. We need to talk to him. I don't think he wants to talk to us. He's our son, our brother. Of course he wants to talk to us. James looked at his phone screen at the Bloomberg interview still paused on my face at the title underneath. CEO who felt invisible builds $200 million company. I don't think he does, Dad, James said quietly. I really don't think he does. By that evening, I had 47 missed calls from numbers I did not recognize. My assistant came into my office looking overwhelmed. Mike, I've had 17 calls today from people claiming to be your family. They're very insistent about talking to you. I looked up from my laptop. Did they say which family? Your parents, your siblings, your cousins. They all want to talk to you about the Bloomberg interview. I sat back in my chair. So they had seen it. All of them. 5 years of silence broken by publicity they could not ignore. What should I tell them? My assistant asked. I thought about it. About the toasts that never included my name. About the birthdays nobody remembered. About the messages that went unread. About feeling invisible while sitting at a table surrounded by people who were supposed to love me. Tell them I'm unavailable, I said. For how long? Indefinitely. She nodded and left. I turned back to my laptop and got back to work. I had a company to run, and for the first time in my life, I did not need anyone's validation to know I was doing something that mattered. Not even theirs. Especially not theirs. The messages started showing up everywhere. My old email address, the one I had not checked in 3 years, flooded with 89 unread emails from family members. LinkedIn suddenly had connection requests from Sarah James Derek, 3 aunts, 2 uncles, and my parents, all within the same hour. The company's general contact form filled with messages. My assistant forwarded me 5 from people claiming to be family, asking me to call them urgently. Even Instagram, which I had barely used since college, had 17 DM requests waiting on my old account. I ignored all of it. 2 days after the Good Morning America appearance, my assistant knocked on my door again. Mike, your father is in the lobby. He says he flew here to see you, and he's not leaving until you talk to him. I looked up from my laptop. He flew here. Apparently. He's been down there for 20 minutes. I thought about it. About making him sit there. About having security escort him out. About 5 years of not hearing from him until I was on television. Tell him I'll be down in 10 minutes. I finished the email I was writing and made him wait the full 10 minutes, then took the elevator down. Dad was sitting in our lobby looking older than I remembered. Grayer, more tired. He stood up when he saw me, relief flooding his face. Michael, thank God. I was worried you wouldn't see me. I almost didn't. What are you doing here? I needed to talk to you, to see you. We saw the interviews and suddenly you remembered I exist? He flinched. That's not fair. Isn't it? I crossed my arms. You didn't know where I lived. You didn't know what I did for a living. You didn't know I was CEO of a company. But you saw me on TV and suddenly it's urgent. We didn't know because you disappeared. I left the family group chat. Nobody noticed for 3 weeks. I moved across the country. Nobody asked where. I built a company over 5 years. Nobody checked in. I didn't disappear, Dad. You just never looked. He sat back down heavily. You're right, he said. You're absolutely right. That surprised me. I had expected defensiveness, excuses. We failed you, he continued. Your mother and I, we failed you. Sarah and James too. We took you for granted. He rubbed his face. We didn't see you, and by the time we realized it, you were gone. You realized it when I went viral, not when I left. No, he said quietly. We realized it when you confronted us at Christmas, that last dinner, when you asked about your birthday and nobody knew. He looked up at me. Your grandmother called your mother the next day, told her we should be ashamed, told her we had driven you away, and yet nobody reached out. We thought you needed space. We thought you'd come back when you were ready. I was never coming back. I know that now. He stood again, looking directly at me. I saw the Bloomberg interview, the part where you talked about feeling invisible, about being in a room full of people and feeling alone. His voice cracked. That was about us, wasn't it? About our family dinners. I did not answer. I did not need to. I watched that interview, he said, and I saw you. Really saw you. For the first time in years. And I realized we did that to you. We made you feel invisible. At the table. At holidays. For years. He paused. I'm sorry, Michael. I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay, that's it. What do you want me to say? That it's fine? That I forgive you and we can go back to how things were? I want you to give us a chance to do better. You had chances, hundreds of them, every dinner, every toast, every message I sent that you ignored. I know. You knew what I did for a living, because your company uses my software. James uses it every day. Did you know that? Dad's face paled. What, Apex Financial? They're a client, have been for 2 years. James logs into my software daily, and he never knew I built it. Oh God. That's how invisible I was. I built something your family uses, and nobody connected it to me. Dad sat down again, head in his hands. What can I do? How can I fix this? You can't. There has to be something. There isn't. You can't undo years of making me feel like I didn't matter. You can't go back and include me in those toasts. You can't retroactively care about my achievements. But I do care now. You care now. Because I'm successful in a way you can't ignore. But when I was just an IT guy, when I was a senior developer, when I was building this company in the early years and it wasn't newsworthy yet, you didn't care then. That's not true. Then when's my birthday, Dad? He opened his mouth, closed it, looked away. It's March 15th, I said. I'm 35 now and you still don't know. I turned to leave. Michael, wait, please. I stopped but did not turn around. What if we started over, he asked. What if we tried to build a relationship from here? Why would I want that? Because we're family. I turned back to face him. No, we share DNA. That's biology, not family. Family shows up. Family remembers your birthday. Family reads your messages. Family includes you in the toast. We can do better.
I don't need you to do better anymore.
I spent my 20s trying to earn your attention. Now I'm 35 running a company, and I don't need anyone's validation, especially not from people who only noticed me when I became impossible to ignore. Dad stood there looking old and broken. I love you, son. Maybe you do, but you never showed it in any way that mattered to me. I walked to the elevator. He did not follow. When I got back to my office, my assistant had another message. Your mother called. She's asking if she can fly out too. Tell her no. She was very upset. Tell her I'm unavailable. That evening, I finally looked at the messages that had accumulated. Sarah had sent a long email. Michael, I can't believe what I'm seeing. You built an entire company and never told us. We're so proud of you. I know we haven't been great at staying in touch, but family is family. Call me, please. James wrote, Dude, my boss asked me about you. Everyone at work is talking about you. Why didn't you tell me you were doing this? We should celebrate. When can I visit? Derek wrote, Cousin. I always knew you'd do something amazing. Let's reconnect. I'm actually looking at career changes and would love your advice on tech. Mom wrote, Michael, please call me. I saw you on television and I cried. I'm so proud of you, baby. I know we've had our issues, but I love you and I miss you. Please come home for a visit. Let's fix this. I read through all of them and saw the pattern immediately. Nobody said, I'm sorry for ignoring you. Nobody said, I should have paid attention. They were all variations of, we're proud now that you're successful, and let's reconnect now that you're famous. I closed my laptop without responding to any of them. The next week, Sarah showed up at my office. My assistant called up. Mike, your sister is here. She doesn't have an appointment, but... Tell her I'm in meetings all day. She says she'll wait. Tell her I'm in meetings all week. I watched from my office window as Sarah left the building looking frustrated. The week after that, James tried, then Derek, then my mother. All of them were suddenly willing to fly across the country to see me. None of them had visited when I lived 3 hours away in Ohio. I did not see any of them. A month after the interview aired, I got an email that actually made me pause. It was from my grandmother. Michael, I'm not writing to make excuses for your parents or siblings. They were wrong. I told your mother that the day after you left that Christmas dinner, and I've told her many times since. I'm writing because I'm proud of you. I've always been proud of you, even when everyone else was too busy to notice. I remembered your birthday every year, even if nobody else did. I understand if you don't want anything to do with the family. You have every right to that boundary. But I wanted you to know that at least one person saw you, always saw you. If you ever want to talk, my number hasn't changed. Love, Grandma. I read it 3 times. She was right. She had always remembered my birthday. She had always asked about my work at those dinners, even when everyone else talked over me. She had been the only one to speak up at that final Christmas when nobody knew my birthday. I wrote back, Grandma, thank you. That means more than you know. I'm doing well, really well. The company is good. My life is good. I'm happy. I'm not ready to reconnect with the family. Maybe I never will be, but I'm glad to hear from you. Love, Mike. She responded within an hour. That's all I needed to know, sweetheart. You don't owe them anything. Be happy. That's enough. P.S. I watched your Bloomberg interview 3 times. You were wonderful. And that feeling invisible part, I understood exactly what you meant. I'm sorry I didn't do more to stop it. I printed that email and put it in a frame on my office shelf. 2 months after the interviews, the media attention finally started to die down. We were back to normal operations, growing, hiring, building. My family's attempts to contact me decreased. They still came occasionally, but less frequently. I ignored them all. 3 months later, I was having dinner with my leadership team when my CFO said something that made me freeze. Hey Mike, random question. Someone emailed our general contact asking if we'd sponsor a charity event. Normally I'd ignore it, but the last name caught my eye. Morrison. Any relation to you? What's the event? Some family reunion. Says it's the Morrison family annual gathering. He pulled out his phone. They're asking for $5,000 to sponsor it and have you as a guest speaker about success. I stared at him. They want me to sponsor their family reunion and give a speech. Yeah, apparently they're doing a successful family members panel and they want you on it. I started laughing. I could not help it. My team looked at me confused. Sorry, I said, getting control of myself. Yes, that's my family. No, we're not sponsoring it. And definitely no to being a guest speaker. Got it. Want me to send a polite decline? Send whatever you want. I don't care. But later that night, alone in my house, I thought about it. A successful family members panel. At a family reunion I had not been invited to and would not have attended anyway. They wanted to parade me around now, show off the son they had ignored, include me in the toast now that I came with headlines and evaluation. I pulled out my phone, found Sarah's last email, and typed a response. Sarah, I saw that the family is planning a reunion with a successful family members panel. Interesting timing. Here's what I want you to understand. You don't get to ignore me for years and then claim me when it's convenient. You don't get to forget my birthday, skip over me in toasts, never read my messages, and then ask me to speak at your reunion about success. I'm not a trophy you can display when it suits you. I built this life without you, all of you. And I don't need your validation, your pride, or your acknowledgement now. Have your reunion. Have your panel. Leave me out of it. Don't contact me again. Mike. I sent it. Then I blocked every email address, every phone number, every possible avenue of contact. I was done being the son they remembered only when it benefited them. I was done being invisible until I was too successful to ignore. I was done with all of it. And for the first time in 35 years, I felt completely, entirely free. A year passed. NextGen Analytics hit $150 million in revenue. We acquired 2 competitors and expanded to Europe and Asia. The team grew to 400 people. I was on the cover of Inc. magazine, the CEO who built success from invisibility. Forbes did a follow-up profile. TechCrunch tracked our growth. Bloomberg invited me back for another interview. None of it felt as significant as that first moment of being seen. Now it was just normal. My life, my work. I dated someone for 6 months, a product manager at another tech company. It did not work out, but it was good while it lasted. Normal relationship stuff, no drama. I bought a better house. Nothing crazy, but nice. I hosted my leadership team for dinners, built friendships that felt real. Life was good, actually good. Not perfect, but mine. My grandmother and I emailed regularly. She never pushed me to reconcile with the family. She just sent updates about her garden, asked about the company, and remembered my birthday. On my 36th birthday, she sent flowers to my office with a card. Proud of you every day, not just when the world is watching. Love, Grandma. I called her that evening. Did you like the flowers? She asked. They're perfect, thank you. Your mother asked me if I'd heard from you. What did you tell her? That it's none of her business. I could hear the smile in her voice. She wasn't happy about that. I bet. They're still talking about you, you know. At every family gathering. Mike this, Mike that. They show people your interviews on their phones. That's ironic. That's what I told them. Your mother didn't appreciate it. I laughed. Thanks for having my back, Grandma. Always, sweetheart. 6 months after that conversation, we went public. NextGen Analytics IPO'd at a $2.8 billion valuation. My shares were worth $380 million on paper. The media went crazy again. From invisible to billionaire, the CEO who proved them all wrong. I did a few interviews. I talked about the company, the technology, the future. I kept it professional. But one interviewer asked, "Your story about feeling invisible resonated with millions. Now you're a billionaire. Do you ever think about the people who made you feel that way?" I paused and thought about how to answer honestly. I think about them sometimes, I said, but not in the way you might expect. I don't think about revenge or proving them wrong. I think about how their inability to see me was never actually about me. It was about them, their values, their priorities, what they chose to pay attention to. Do you have a relationship with them now? No. Any plans to reconcile? No. Some bridges don't need rebuilding. Some distances are healthy. Any regrets? About leaving, none. My only regret is that I didn't leave sooner. That interview clip went viral too. Billionaire CEO, some distances are healthy. The comment section was split. Half the people said I was right to maintain boundaries. Half said family is family and I should forgive. I did not read most of them. I did not need to. 2 weeks after the IPO, I got a letter. Physical mail forwarded from my old Ohio address to the company. The return address was my parents' house. I almost threw it away, but something made me open it. Inside was a handwritten letter from my mother. Michael, I don't expect you to respond to this. I don't even know if you'll read it, but I needed to write it anyway. I've spent the last year and a half thinking about what we did to you, how we made you feel. The toasts that didn't include your name, the birthdays we forgot, the messages we ignored. Your father and I have been to therapy together and separately, trying to understand how we failed so completely as parents. How we could sit at a table with you and not see you. The therapist asked me to describe each of my children. I talked about Sarah for 20 minutes. Her cases, her achievements, her personality. I talked about James for 15 minutes. His career, his goals, his success. When she asked about you, I stopped. I realized I couldn't tell her who you were. Not really. I knew facts. You worked in tech. You moved to San Francisco. But I didn't know you. Your interests, your values. What made you happy or sad or angry? I had spent 35 years as your mother and I didn't actually know you. That is unforgivable. I know that. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I'm writing because I want you to know that I see it now. I understand what we did, and I'm sorry. More sorry than I can ever express. I know sorry doesn't fix anything. It doesn't undo the toasts or remember the birthdays or make you feel seen during all those years you were invisible to us. But I wanted you to know that I finally see you, even if it's too late. Even if you never want anything to do with me again. I see you, Michael. And I'm sorry it took losing you to open my eyes. If you ever decide you want contact, any kind of contact, I'll be here. But I understand if that never happens. You don't owe me anything. I hope you're happy. I hope your life is everything you wanted it to be. Love, Mom. I read it twice. It was better than the other attempts, more honest. It actually acknowledged what they had done instead of just asking for reconciliation. But it was also 18 months too late. And after a therapy session, it felt too calculated. I put the letter in a drawer and did not respond. A month later, I was speaking at a tech conference in Chicago, only an hour from where my family lived. I did not tell anyone I would be there. After my keynote, I was walking through the convention center when someone called my name. Mike. I turned. James was standing there in a suit, a conference badge around his neck. We stared at each other for a moment. I didn't know you'd be here, he said. Business conference. I'm speaking. I saw. I was in the audience. He looked uncomfortable. You were great. Really great. Thanks. Awkward silence settled between us. Can we talk? He asked. Just 5 minutes. I looked at him. My brother. The one who used to be taller than me, but somehow seemed smaller now. 5 minutes, I agreed. We found a quiet corner. James fidgeted with his conference badge. I read Mom's letter, he said. The one she sent you. She told us about it. Okay. I wanted to write one too, but I didn't know what to say. Everything felt wrong. Too little too late, you know? Yeah. So I'm just going to say it plainly. I'm sorry. For all of it. For never including you. For never asking about your life. For using your software every day and never knowing you built it. For being at that Christmas dinner and not defending you when you asked about your birthday. He took a breath. You were right about everything. We treated you like you were invisible. And I was part of that. I'm ashamed of it. And I'm sorry. I looked at him. I saw genuine remorse. Not the performative kind from the emails. Real regret. Okay, I said. Okay, I hear you. I accept your apology. Does that mean... It doesn't mean anything beyond that. I accept that you're sorry. That doesn't mean I want a relationship. His face fell, but he nodded. I understand. Do you? I think so. We hurt you for too long. Sorry doesn't fix that. No, it doesn't. Is there anything I could do? Anything that would… No, James, there isn't. This isn't something you can fix with a gesture or a conversation. You can't retroactively care about me. I did care. You didn't show it. And showing it is what matters. He was quiet for a moment. You're right. I know. For what it's worth, I think about it a lot. About how we treated you. I see it now in a way I didn't before, and I feel sick about it. That's your burden to carry, not mine. He looked at me with something like surprise. You're not angry. I was for a long time, but anger is exhausting. Now, I'm just indifferent. You're my brother biologically, but that's it. We're not family in any meaningful way. Could we be? Ever? I don't know. Maybe, but not now. Not soon. Maybe not ever. That's fair. He extended his hand. Thank you for talking to me. I shook it. Take care of yourself, James. You too, Mike. I walked away. I felt nothing except maybe a small sense of closure. That evening, on the flight back to San Francisco, I thought about the last 18 months, the interviews, the company going public, the letters and visits and attempts at reconciliation. All of it happened because I had become impossible to ignore. But the thing they never understood was that I had stopped needing their attention years ago. I had built a life that made me happy, a company that mattered, friendships that were real, a grandmother who had always seen me. I did not need them to be proud of me now. I did not need them to include me in the toast. I did not need anything from them at all. And that was the real success. Not the money, not the company, not the media attention. The success was being genuinely completely okay with their absence. 3 months later, I was having dinner with my leadership team when my phone buzzed with an email from Grandma. Michael, your mother asked me to forward you something. I told her I wouldn't unless you said it was okay. It's a photo from this year's Christmas dinner. She wanted you to see it. Let me know if you want me to send it. Love, Grandma. I wrote back, you can send it. A minute later, the photo came through. It was my family at Christmas dinner. All of them were at the table. Dad was standing with his glass raised. Grandma had included a caption from my mother. This year's toast included your name. Dad said, our successful children, Sarah, James, and Michael, who taught us what really matters. I thought you should know. I looked at the photo for a long time. They had finally included me in the toast. 18 months too late. After I had become a billionaire. After I had been on television. I deleted the email and put my phone away. Then I turned back to my team, my friends, the people who had seen me long before the world did. Sorry about that, I said. Where were we? And we continued our dinner, talking about the next product launch, the next milestone, the next goal. Building something that mattered, together, seen, valued, finally, actually, completely home.